It appears then that this virtual world, defined by fear of loss, the surety of death, and the anguish of desperation, is a problem to be solved, a question that needs to be answered, an experience we must first understand to embrace. A news story told of a brother who went on a weekend trip to see his sister and help his brother-in-law work in the yard. He brought his 4-year-old daughter to visit and enjoy the weekend with her aunt and uncle. On the last day of their visit, the small child played with the dog while the adults said their goodbyes. A cry was heard, and before the adults could move in to prevent it, that same dog, which had played with and around the little girl all weekend, attacked and fatally wounded her. On the surface, the question is how this tragedy could have been avoided. But on a deeper, more salient level, the question should be, why is this world's design such that something so tragic needs to be able to occur at all? Our world seems punitive, designed to punish all who make mistakes of judgment, whether by negligence or choice. Bad, unjust, terrible, and seemingly malicious events happen, but in the vacuum of an agreed-upon purpose to rationalize these events. Justice in the form of vengeance is the only sane outcome the human mind can find. Without an agreed-upon purpose, the higher road of forgiveness and understanding would be irrational, if not insane. If this world is all that exists, and a single lifespan is all that each individual will ever experience, then alpha dominance within the predator-prey dynamic is to be worshipped, feared, and emulated, with the idea of forgiveness being nothing more than cowardice, cloaked in convenience. If this indeed were all there is, we would be forced to consider the darkest of all thoughts. We may already be in a state of punitive separation, torment, and damnation. What could be more hellish than a place filled with suffering that ends in death, encountered solely through a consciousness that longs for eternity? An existence made tolerable only through the hope of it becoming better sometime in the future, with the knowledge that the future hoped for will never be experienced by the person suffering and dying in that very moment. What is the purpose of hope if what we hope for has no purpose? Making this torment even more hellish is that in this virtual world, which starts with suffering and ends in death, every accomplishment that has the promise of alleviating that suffering and delaying that death invites the misuse of that accomplishment to bring about more suffering and premature death. Everything from wheels to computers, from fire to atomic energy, has and is still being used as weapons in the battle to reach the highest point on a surely sinking ship. Game theory and first strike capability define how geopolitical relationships are forged and direct this world of predatory consumption and predatory aggression. If such a world as this exists without a purpose and truly is all there is, then by default, those who consciously must experience it indeed are damned, at least to the extent they are bound to it. The blind savageness of our natural condition without a purpose would be hell indeed. Suffice it to say that the disadvantaged people of the world endure starvation, suffering, war, and disease, all the ills that afflict the population on the front lines of survival, while those of us fortunate enough to be insulated from daily struggle read and hear of the hundreds of thousands becoming casualties in this savage garden, knowing full well that we will one day join them, without ever knowing when or why. From our recent and too short history of abundance, we know that even with our cupboards full, our bank accounts flourishing, and ourselves and our loved ones healthy, we are still driven to find a greater purpose. This is the single most powerful evidence that we are meant to do more than just survive and thrive in a world designed to attack and kill. Even when we have accomplished that which we pursued, when we have won the gold medal, experienced fame, fortune, family, and friends, all that is heaven on earth, we still, from the depths of our souls, long for a glimpse into the mysterious paradox of life and death. Then, almost before we have finished that thought, news comes of another tragic incident, that although it didn't touch our homes, it touched our hearts, and in our minds we cry out more intensely for understanding. Where to from here? From this vantage point, we can see that we need a clearly defined and agreed upon purpose for the world in which we seem to exist. If we can establish a straightforward, sustainable, and far-reaching narrative defining our eternal connection with each other, then we will become peace-desiring individual citizens of a global community, instead of conflict-driven ideologues of nation-states. But without such a narrative that we can agree on, we will remain at odds with ourselves, our environment, and at war with each other. How do we, as stewards of a global community, agree on a narrative that adequately describes the difference between the virtual world we seem to live in and the portal to the eternal world we can view and then walk through when we are united in the truth of that difference? The age-old question of how we bring heaven to earth has been the elephant in the room, the missing link in the matrix since we began processing patterns that protect and give us purpose. Just as lightning doesn't form until a descending electrical charge from above meets an ascending charge from below, understanding the power and majesty of sovereign truth requires us to release our desire to know into the unknown. Only then can we experience the power of our ability to create. Sovereign truth is that lightning come down from on high, and releasing our faith is how we connect to it. Uniting faith with sovereign truth is how we create. And it's time to create a better world.